Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I'm Marc Givler. Got Kevin Noon here with me today. It's a special commitment episode. Buckeyes have landed three-star offensive lineman Gabe VanSickle from Northwestern, Michigan, state of Michigan product, swing prospect. We'll get into this here in a minute, but I know offensive line recruiting has been kind of a source of angst. Buckeyes now have 4 offensive linemen in the fold. Would still take, I think, a big-time tackle if they can get one. But first, Kevin, just thoughts on this. This developed very quickly. He made an unofficial visit. They offered him a few days before his official visit. He makes the official visit and then promptly flips from Northwestern to Ohio State. I think we saw this coming, but just initial thoughts on Buckeyes landing another offensive line prospect in the 2024 class.
Yeah, I mean, they're still in the process of trying to shore up the room. Obviously, there were some issues in terms of what it was that Justin Fry kind of inherited, and he's now going through and kind of filling the numbers. And let's not forget, Ohio State and Mark Nave went separate ways not that long ago, and there was always going to be the move that they were going to pick up another lineman, if not 2, as you had mentioned. And with VanSickle, I think people are immediately going to look at the star rating and be like, well, obviously this is just a filler player or whatever, but Ohio State could have gone in a lot of different directions here. I mean, obviously Northwestern thought highly of him. He's close to double-digit offers at this point. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a reach, but certainly not a name that fans are familiar with, and those who are watching are going to suddenly become a lot more familiar with him as we talk about him and break him down a little bit.
Yeah, and this is the Mark Nave replacement. This was a guy that I think they think can play inside or outside, so there's a little added flexibility there. Nave was strictly a guard prospect, so there's a little more flexibility here. But this is not like their big tackle find. This is the Nave replacement in the class. We'll see. Things are not looking great right now with Jordan Seaton. They've got to get him on campus before we even begin to entertain that idea. But they've got their 4th offensive lineman now. They're back to 4, which is what they needed. And then we'll see if they can pick up a 5th. Let's go to the tape. Again, this is, a swing prospect. So he can play tackle. He could play guard. There he is getting out to the second level. He plays left tackle in high school, which you see a lot of Division I prospects. High school teams are going to put their best offensive lineman at left tackle, but here he is on the right side. So he's got some flexibility there. I think they love that. I can tell you right now, if he can play left and right side, that's a key component. A great finisher. Again, we saw the athleticism there a couple minutes ago or a couple seconds ago where he can get out to the second level and kind of execute blocks. But really light on his feet. He's about 280, 285 pounds right now, which is actually an ideal weight. You don't want guys, coming in at 320 because then you got to take 20, 30 pounds off of them to build them back up. If you come in at 250, 260, it's going to be a process. So he's coming in at a really good weight at that 280, 285 range. And so they can kind of go right to work on him. But there he is again, getting out to the second level, putting a guy down. Again, left tackle, a lot of run blocking. Pass protection is always going to be fun to kind of figure out from high school to college because a lot of times you're just getting by on raw athleticism. So, his pass sets and just understanding leverage and pass pro and things like that, that'll come with coaching. But again, I like how light he is on his feet. I mean, yeah, he's knocking smaller guys over. He's going to do that. You're going to see at the high school level, but I like the way he moves. I like the way he gets out. He's able to kind of shields a guy off. You have to be quick to be able to get out there and get that outside leverage to be able to push your guy inside like that so that your running back can get out to the edge. So really athletic kid. The comp I continue to kind of come back to is Josh Fryer. He is someone who is obviously their starting right tackle right now, but in a pinch could play guard. In a pinch could play on the left or the right side, depending on what would happen there if there's an injury or something happens. So this is a guy who does remind me of Josh Fryer. And I'm convinced he could play tackle at Ohio State if that's the necessity. But like I've said in the past, Ohio State's generally going to recruit tackle bodies because you can always move a tackle to guard. Even if they're 6'6", 6'7", you can still move them to guard. There's certain, there's a lot of guards who you can't, like Matthew Jones is an excellent interior offensive lineman. You could never play Matthew Jones on the outside. You could never play him at tackle. So you can always move the tackles in. It's kind of like recruiting those safeties that can always go down the linebacker. So this is a guy with a lot of versatility. And again, I think watching his tape, I think he could probably play tackle, but they're going to put him wherever he needs to go to help the team and get their best group together.
Yeah, I had to look up where he was from. Coopersville, Michigan, not a place I'm familiar with. It is west of Grand Rapids. So, yeah, he's not. I didn't
think there was anything west of Grand Rapids.
No, apparently there is. There's some land there, and that's where Coopersville is. And so, he's not going against Detroit City League guys. So, I mean, him getting out there and really shoving guys around is not a surprise. But I think he's somebody that, you're right, he comes in at kind of the ideal weight. It's not going to be a huge rebuild project. It's not going to be you need to wake up 7 times in the middle of the night and have 6 protein shakes to make weight. The old Nick Petit-Frere dilemma that he was in, where he couldn't put any weight on. I do see the versatility. I mean, obviously we saw a lot of those highlights of him at tackle. I do see kind of a guard out of him, but I think that he is somebody that has that flexibility where he can play outside, where I think he does have the body, where I think the body will be once he is a collegiate athlete and has a year or two in the strength and conditioning program. And that's really been just obviously the big thing that they've preached at Ohio State for a long time is we want guys that can play multiple positions. We're going to be able to cross-train you and do some of those things. And that's something that maybe some other candidates out there did not possess, maybe that ability to play one of 4 positions on the line.
Yeah, it was clear with their decision on this that they did want a swing guy. They didn't want, Mark Nave 2.0 as just a strictly a guard prospect. That they wanted to, with the opportunity to kind of revisit that position in the class, that they wanted to get some more versatility there. Now it gets interesting. There just aren't many candidates right now as far as that like 5th offensive line, stud tackle spot. They're going to try with Jordan Seaton all the way until the early signing period opens, but they've got to get him on campus. It's not going to happen this weekend. He's visiting Tennessee. So you've got probably that weekend in December there before things get crazy, and you're going to have to try and get them on campus then. My thought process has always been, as we kind of talk about the impact on this class, that regardless of kind of what happens, whether it ends at 4, whether they get Jordan Seaton or not, my thought was that they would probably look in the portal this spring anyway for a plug and play guy, whether that, and it may not even be a tackle necessarily, because it's very possible their tackles are back. It may be a guard. It could be a flex guy, maybe almost like a 6th man, even like someone bringing him in to give you immediate depth, because I know that's been an issue this year for them. Is a lot of people have asked, well, why aren't you're playing all these guys, at receiver, you're playing all these guys in the secondary and all these defensive linemen. Why aren't we seeing a lot of the 2s on the offensive line? And they've been pretty upfront about it. They don't think the 2s are good enough to play right now. So I've always felt that they would go to the portal this spring. Kevin, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do they need to, or, do they have the 4 here and then you continue to hope that you get all the guys who are eligible to come back next year, come back, because again, we have the Donovan Jackson decision's got to be made. We expect Luke Montgomery to make a leap in year 2. They like him a lot. That's one guy that doesn't start that they really do like. What are your thoughts on maybe the portal this offseason?
I think you absolutely need to look at the portal, and I think you've got to get in on that first cut of the portal where other programs have, and Ohio State was like, well, we're going to kind of wait to see what we have, and then got in on the second cut. And, to Josh Simmons' credit, he's coming along. I mean, week 11 or whatever we're in, week 12, I guess, Josh Simmons is a heck of a lot better than week 1 Josh Simmons was. So, I mean, Ryan Day has said as much that they've got somebody there that that they're liking. Um, I don't know if you say we're bound and determined, come hell or high water, that we're taking an offensive lineman in the portal. If the right guy isn't there, I don't know if you bring in another body just for the sake of that. I mean, they brought in Victor Cutler. He wasn't able to beat out Carson Hinsman for the center position. Ohio State goes and runs a little bit of an alternate line at the end of the Michigan State game with Matt Jones at center. That would have been a perfect chance to bring in Victor Cutler. It just didn't happen there. You bring in transfers with the hope that they are going to grab the brass ring and take the position that you're bringing them in for. And when you don't, it's kind of a waste of time for everybody in a lot of regards, just to kind of put it in simplistic terms. So I think that you go and you look, and if there is somebody, I mean, it's not every day that a Jonah Jackson is in the portal and you just sit there and you get an all Big Ten caliber player who just walks right into your program and locks it down. So I think that they look, and if the right guy's there, then great. If the right guy is not there, you kind of hope that you have the pieces. And you're right. I think a lot of shuffling on the line could still be there. I mean, I still think Donovan Jackson could be done after this year. I mean, I think if Ohio State has the kind of season everybody's hoping for, I think we're going to see a mass exodus, and then that's going to reshuffle the deck entirely in terms of how you handle the portal. But Josh Simmons is going to be back. Josh Fryer is going to be back. Carson Hinsman, not draft eligible yet. I mean, so that there's going to be some pieces there. Luke Montgomery, as you mentioned, obviously somebody who's pushing for playing time as well. But yeah, I think you do need to go portaling, but this can't be we'll just kind of see how things shake out, because that's where the few half a dozen guys that really are right there on the cusp, or somebody that you think that can come in and make that immediate impact, they're gone. And then you and everybody else are competing for the late decisions and the guys who got beat out and things like that.
Yeah, I think Donovan Jackson's decision is going to be pretty huge for Ohio State. If Donovan leaves, they're going to almost 1,000% need to go to the portal. Even if it's a guy who is brought in to maybe push some of the young guys who maybe doesn't end up starting, but is going to give you some depth. I do think Luke Montgomery will likely do the Paris Johnson thing. He's got a taste of things as a true freshman. I think he breaks into the lineup next year, but maybe at guard, maybe at that right guard position that's going to be vacant. But that's you still need a left guard if Donovan Jackson leaves. And I just don't know that the bull has been grabbed by the horns here, or, maybe Montgomery replaces Donovan Jackson, but now, right guard. And I don't sense enough confidence from the Ohio State staff on the twos right now. And I never would put something on an Ian Moore or a Deontay Armstrong or a Devontae Armstrong to come in next year and be a starter. That's just not realistic. So, yeah, I think the Donovan Jackson decision will really dictate just how important the portal is going to be for them along the offensive line this winter. But I do agree with you one way or the other. They got to get out there and be aggressive early. Now sometimes weird stuff happens after spring ball and someone becomes available that you didn't think becomes available. And then it's like, oh, maybe you wish you wouldn't have grabbed that spot in February, but the risk doesn't outweigh the reward there.
Roster management's a lot easier in football than it is in basketball. We saw a lot of guys come up in late in the transfer portal in basketball, and Ohio State was full with its 13 allotment of 13 scholarships there. But with football,
you can make room.
There's always a way. There's somebody's like, well, you know what? I think I am going to go look elsewhere, or I just think I'm going to medically retire, or whatever. Things happen.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to follow here. We'll see if anyone else pops up. If they get Jordan Seaton to visit, if they find somebody else. Look, the coaching carousel. Here's the other interesting thing that we can't predict right now is the coaching carousel just started. Like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Jimbo Fisher kind of kicked things off there. And so there could be some guy, there's going to be more coaches fired probably here in the next couple of weeks. There could be a random guy that we're not thinking or talking about right now who in his mind isn't thinking about leaving his current position situation.
What about UCLA? What if Chip Kelly? I mean, there are a lot of rumors about Chip Kelly. Where was Justin Fry?
Right.
UCLA. I mean, so he might have somebody there that's a young pup that's like, oh, I would love to have you here in Columbus.
Yep. So there could be a portal guy available, and there could be a high school guy that comes. There could be a top 100, a top 150 type offensive tackle at the high school ranks who, his school goes through a coaching change, not even necessarily a head coaching change, because now once the head coaching carousel spins, you've got to backfill the head coaching job. That guy's got to put together a new staff. And the trickle-down effect of all the assistant coaches bouncing all over the place, you could lose a position coach and may want to look around. So we'll see what happens here. The last few weeks of the cycle are always very interesting and unpredictable. So we'll see what happens there. But important thing here is Ohio State gets back to 4 offensive linemen in this class, which they needed to do. Got a really good flex player here in Gabe VanSickle. And we'll see how Fry coaches him up once he gets there. But good news for the Buckeyes, and we will sign off on that. And I think, again, going to be some fireworks here the next couple of weeks to pay attention to. So keep it locked in here at BuckeyeHuddle.com and on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. We appreciate everyone watching and listening, and we'll talk to you next time.